Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Christina. Christina's bomb drop is August 15th of 2016 and her date of marriage is 1986. She has a clinging boomerang who is a high energy replayer. She says, "We had a good marriage. After 2 years of being at home after bomb drop, he left to live with the alienator." So he left to live with her in 2018 and that was about 4 years ago then. He wants out of there. He's tried several times. They've had several false starts of going back and forth. But he can't stand the withdrawal from the affair. He feels good after leaving her, but after 15 days, he starts having really bad anxiety and depression. And then he goes back to her. He says he wants to reconcile and come home, but he can't let go of the alienator. I find that withdrawal from the affair is the worst part. By the way, their relationship is very toxic and destructive. The alienator is very mean and vengeful. Is there hope? Yes, there is so much hope, and here's why. He said he wants to reconcile and come home. That right there. The challenge with the withdrawal, he may be having more challenges than others, he may not, but I think it's a little bit harder right now, but it's also normal. It's how it works out oftentimes, especially with an alienator who is like this. Toxic, destructive, mean, vengeful. She is using emotional blackmail against him, and it is pulling him and sucking him back in. She is telling him that he's supposed to be with her, that he should be with her, that he has ruined her life for not being with her, that she gave up everything for her, that maybe that he's not good enough without her, maybe that he needs her and can't live without her, or maybe that she needs him. But you're my rescuer, I'll do all these different things without you, like kill myself, whatever it is. She lays guilt trips on him, and he does not have the ability to withstand that. It's too much on him. The burden is too great. He can't handle it. So there is hope. He's having anxiety. He's having depression. The two of you together need to set up some sort of system that is in place, ready to be activated as soon as he leaves. He leaves her, and I don't know if he's going to come home to you or if there's going to be a transition place. Every situation has an axis upon which it turns, the issue. For my situation, the issue was Chuck kept coming directly from the alienators to our home. And we needed to have a transition because there's no bed hopping and I'm not a revolving door. We needed to use that transition to heal from the betrayal and what was going on and for him to figure things out. Is that your issue? I don't know. But he does need to figure out how to leave this alienator, and he needs a support system in place. Now, Chuck had withdrawals. I don't think they were quite this bad, but they were challenging. She was doing that emotional blackmail I described to him. She did threaten suicide. She threatened all sorts of different things. Sometimes it was, well, my mom is really sick and I need my friend to be with me. And if you really were my friend, you would come and stay the night with me. What kind of male friend leaves his wife to stay the night with someone? And then, of course, make it worse with someone who they've been having an affair with. But just another one. If they hadn't been having an affair, that's just not appropriate. It's absurd. So we can see if the levels of her requests are that absurd, there's emotional blackmail going on in here. He needs therapeutic help. I want you to look up EFT, emotionally focused therapy. That is therapy designed for recovery from infidelity. Bonus points if you can get somebody who is well-versed, understanding, and accepting of identity crisis and midlife crisis. But emotionally focused therapy. So do your research in planning for this. Then I say I want you to have a system in place because we may all be familiar with the waiting lists we get on to go into therapy. The therapist says, I can put you on my waiting list. I want to have availability, I'll call. Or they have availability. Yeah, I'm taking new patients. My next appointment is in 6 weeks. And so you're still waiting, even though you have a set time. You're not on a waiting to get on an appointment, but you're still waiting for an appointment, which is a long period. I want him to be able to have an appointment within the first 7 days, if that can be arranged. And that might be that you start seeing somebody. Then you get more privileges sometimes if you're already a patient and can see him. So if you have to go in a few times and see her, or if he has to go and see her or him, that might help. But I want him to be able to have access within that first week. I'm leaving her, and he needs to, especially if it might be that he needs somebody that he can go more than once a week for those first few weeks, because we want it definitely before that first 15 days. We don't want him on the 15th day or the 14th. I want him to have been seeing somebody, and that could be together. You need to talk to the professional and see what they feel. But you need a system in place to help catch him when he comes home, because you know the patterns, you know what's going to happen, and it has happened. He needs to do other things. Block all avenues that she has that are accessible to between the two of them. So does that mean a new phone? Does it mean a new phone number? How do you get her number out of his phone? Do you trust that he's done that before, that he's gotten her number out, because she does the initiating? And he just feels responsible to call back. Well, it would be rude if I didn't call back. That's what I heard. Chuck was probably initiating sometimes too, but he felt it's rude not to call back when somebody calls you. It's rude for her to call my husband. So seriously, that it's not rude, but we can't always argue with them, because they're going to be stuck in that. And they're going to, no, we have to work with the situation we have. So do we need to do email blocks? Does he need to do email blocks? Does he need to do blocks? Are there work blocks? Does he need to take a different route? What other things can he put in place? And this is something he has to be involved in and make the decision about. Otherwise, you're controlling him, or you're trying to control him. And so your job, and some of it is to be, what kind of things do you think you can do to make yourself, not even us, yourself successful at this? Because if you're when, I'd rather have when than if, when you're successful with this, that will then help you and I to be successful. It will help our family to be successful, because your family isn't going to succeed with reconciliation if he isn't going to succeed with his withdrawal and get through that. And I think he needs therapeutic help for that. That's going to be really important. So find out what you can get. There is definitely hope, so much hope, because he wants to be home. That doesn't mean he knows what it's going to take. And I don't even mean his withdrawal. After you get through his withdrawal, there could be the discovery of, okay, now we have to heal from this. And I am going to now learn what all the damage is done to my wife. He's going to learn if there are triggers for you. Or maybe you have come through so much of that in the years between bomb drop and now. Because one of the things I find with affair recovery and midlife crisis affair recovery is there is a gap between bomb drop and recovery for us that have been dealing with midlife crisis. For some where they have an affair and then they end the affair, and let's say they really do, and they're honest and wanting to end it, and they want to do all the work, and they are willing to do all of the work. Your perfect situation, right? And then they learn about all the damage they've done and the triggers that their spouse now has and the trauma their spouse now has. And they start to think this is insurmountable. We can't do this. And it can cause additional conflict and friction. You've had a gap of healing. So maybe you are more healed than that person who just found out that they've been betrayed, or they have been being betrayed for a few months and trying to get it over with, but now they're on the recovery trail with their spouse, and the spouse really wants it. They are being honest, but the left behind betrayed spouse doesn't know that yet, or doesn't feel it, or they don't have the ability to trust it yet. You have to earn that trust back through time. So you might be further along, you personally, than a betrayed spouse who is fresher and earlier in the crisis. I don't know. But that might work to your benefit. If you've done your healing and your detachment work, you can be there as part of the foundation in this therapy. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I'll see everybody in the next question.